Welcome in everybody to A Saw Dude. That's me, A Saw Dude. And in this video I'm going to take you through how I built this wishing well planter. Now, I said in my last video that I was going to be mostly building other people's stuff. Well, here it is, my second video, and I designed this myself. I watched, I don't know, 7-8 different YouTube tutorials on how to build one. I just didn't really like any of them, so I decided, you know what, I can figure this out, and this is what I come up with. It's about 24 inches tall, 19 inches across, any which way you go. It is a hexagon, which I am very proud of. And we got it over here. We got it planted. As you can see, we got some flowers in it. So stay tuned and we'll see how it was built.
The first thing I do is get my fence adjusted here on my table saw. Then I check my blade depth. I'm going to rip this first board to 2.5 inches. And I'm going to do that twice. That's going to take up most of the board. Had to adjust the height of my table a little bit. Get it up there a little bit higher. So I get that first board ripped. I adjust my fence again. This one we're going to rip at 1 3/4 inches, and we're going to do that 3 times. The first board is for our top and bottom of the planter, and these are going to be for our inside side supports that you're not going to see on the inside panels. So we go ahead and get that board ripped down 3 times, like I said, with the width of the board and then your blade, you don't get much left over. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut our base and our top boards. We're going to cut these all down to 11 inches because my outside edge is going to be 11 inches for my top and my base. And then I'm going to miter ends on all these boards at 30 degrees so that I can make this into the hexagon shape. An easy way to do this too is instead of flipping your saw back and forth, you just leave it on one side and you flip your board over. Then you get that cut like you need. So next I arrange them, check the fit, I'm happy with it, so we're going to glue these up, nail in each side just to give it some stability while I'm trying to put it together here while that glue sets up. The glue really is the heart and soul of any woodworking project, and today we're using Titebond 3 because it is waterproof and because every single video I've watched on YouTube says this is the glue to use. Then I like to sand down all my projects and really get rid of that rough cut that you get the cedar fence pickets in. So I had a few nails come through. I had to chop those off and then pound them down in there and give a little more sanding. You know, I think it really helps clean projects up and make them look more finished. Then I created myself a nice little jig here so that I could trace out on my base where I wanted to put these side panels. I then realized I did it on the wrong side and had to redo it on the other side, but that's fine. I then used that to get my measurement for my side piece. So I went ahead here, cut the first piece off, mitered it on both sides, checked it, liked the length of it. So then we just went ahead and we were going to have to repeat this 24 times. It's 6-sided. There's 4 fence pickets tall on each side, so that makes 24. After that, I lined them all up, clamped them together, and tried to sand the sides of them down here to get them a little more even and consistent because I didn't want to take the time to rip each board just a little bit. And as you can see, I lined them up on my garage floor, so they're not perfectly flat. They have the slope of the floor with them, but that's okay. Next, we get on to sanding the faces of them, and same story. I got 24 boards here, so we're just going to go ahead and sand the rough marks out of all of them. On the outside only. I don't bother doing the inside. You won't see it. There's no point. So we get the outside looking nice and pretty. Now that we're done sanding the sides, I'm going to get my supports cut for the inside. Now I cut all these down to about 22.5 inches. You really just have to kind of measure out your sideboards plus your top and your base and see what you end up with because I wanted it to sit in between the base and the top. And with the variants and the pickets and stuff, that's probably going to be a little bit different for everybody if you were to try to do something similar. As you can see, I forgot to glue up the first panel, but that's okay. It's the first panel, you know, it's only one. So I went and got the glue and we continued on and we had to construct 6 panels here for the sides. 1 inside support, 4 pickets. I whammed out all 6 sides. That way I could just go ahead and build the planter once I had all the sides assembled. Now that we have our sides assembled, we're going to go ahead and get them attached to the base. This took some thinking, but what I finally decided to do was to lay this down on its side, get some support underneath of it to get it to the height I needed, and this took a little messing around. but we got it. And then that mistake I made earlier where I accidentally traced my sides on the bottom came in real handy here, because then I knew where I could shoot my nails. So now I get my second side and attach it to the first, grab the third, attach it, fourth, fifth, we work our way around, and then we're going to lay it back down on its side after I've put 80 million nails at least. So we finish nailing it, flip the bottom, nail it on there, flip it back over, sand the top to even things out a little bit, give the corners a nice sand so they line up a little better, clean up the gaps. Now we're going to cut our top piece. I waited now to cut the miters on here because I wanted to measure the top and see what it was actually going to be. We put our top together, made sure it's nice and snug, glue it down, nail it on. You'll see me using my ruler. This is to make sure that I hit my side board with these nails. I know that it's, 3/4 of an inch inside, so I use that as a guide. Hit the top with a nice round of sanding, try to even out these edges a little bit. Just clean it up. Always get rid of those rough saw marks. Provide a nice soft finish, not going to give you any splinters. Then we're going to cut out some garden stakes that I had and use those to build our base. I didn't want to put the base in this very deep because it's for my mom, and she didn't want to have to fill this with 40 pounds of dirt for no reason, just put a couple flowers in it. So I put the base in about 6 inches, put those cleats on so I'd have something to fasten the bottom to, and then I just took some of the leftover scrap, cut it up, mitered some angles on it, got it pretty close, worked around the legs, and just went ahead and laid that all in there. Got it glued and screwed, flipped it over, put a brace across the bottom, finished off with one garden stake in the middle instead of ripping and cutting a special piece, and then we move on to burning. This is probably one of my favorite parts. We just take a torch, we burn up the wood. You got to be careful not to burn it too much because it will catch on fire. It is wood, so that can be problematic. But as long as you're just a little careful and pay attention, I think this is a great way to add a fun and cool finish to your projects without a ton of effort or a ton of cost. I know that I could be doing this with a bigger torch, save a little money. I just need to go get some propane, to be honest with you. I went to steal the one out of the grill and it is empty, so that didn't work very well. So I grabbed a test piece here, threw some clear on it to see what it would do. Went ahead and sealed the inside first. I'm using a Pittsburgh clear deck sealant. Figure this is made of picket boards, fence boards, deck, fence sealant. Should work just fine. So then I'll go ahead and I'm just going to lather this stuff on the sides, the top, the bottom, all over the place. Try to make sure I get even coverage. Try to keep it from globbing up and trying to keep it from running. You don't want it to run. You'll likely get streaks, and if you let it glob up, it's going to look weird when it dries. So I tried to go back over all the corners, all the edges, and make sure it wasn't built up. And that's going to bring us to the end of the video. Here's some few pictures of it planted and in place. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, check out my other content, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.